are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 228 of the College Loop Podcast. I am Dylan Larck, your boy Tang on Twitter, here for another College Loop After Dark, because it is currently 1 o'clock in the morning, because I found out that I have EA Play, and I got to play the college football game for about 15, 20 minutes before I realized I lost so much track of time. But that game, so fun. I've only been in practice mode for a little bit. It is an absolute blast. Cannot wait to play it after work tomorrow. I'm going to be playing it all day. So let me know if you ever want some gameplay of that. I will stream that if need be. But yeah, I love that game so much already, and I've barely played it. But as we're talking about, currently today is Thursday, meaning SEC Media Days is still going on, and it's going to be the last day of Media Days, and you get to hear some Tigers talk today. Peyton Thorne, Eugene Asante, Keldrick Falk, and of course, Coach Hugh Freeze will be on schedule, I think, in the noon slate to talk to the media. I get to hear a lot of them. We talked about it already, past two shows. I was talking about the War Report on Sunday. Things we expect to hear from the players and kind of questions that you kind of can get ready to hear from the media. So a lot of fun, but we already got some cool media day tidbits about Auburn. Yesterday, Kirby Smart was up on the podium and got asked some questions about Auburn, where he announced that Auburn and Jordan-Hare Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in the world. So let that be known. No matter what soccer stadium, whatever rugby stadium, cricket, all that, nothing to Kirby Smart, nothing beats good old Jordan-Hare Stadium. He also had a lot of compliments to give about Hugh Freeze. Announced that Hugh Freeze, if he keeps getting the guys that he wants from recruiting, he already mentioned that he already got some from this recruiting class. He can turn Auburn into a place to be a school to be reckoned with in the football field. So I think everyone pretty much just say that. I'm gonna say that 4 times in a sentence. I think we can all get behind that. I think that there's a lot of hype around this recruiting class, upcoming recruiting class, as well as the recruiting class from last year going into this year. As you know, there's no one in the world who is more hyped up for this Auburn team than Cam Coleman. And I mean, he showed out in 8A and showed us why everyone is so stoked for Cam to be on campus. And we'll get a chance to talk about that a little bit more later on in the show, because today's episode is going to be talking about the positional preview series, going to be continuing with wide receivers and, of course, tight ends, including all the pass catchers for this episode. But before we get into that, a little bit of a recruiting update. Kanan Britt, little brother of KJ Britt, another high target for Auburn in this upcoming recruiting class, has announced his top 5. He has announced that Auburn, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Oregon, and South Carolina made his top 5. So huge shout out for KJ Britt's little brother. KJ, one of my favorite players to ever come through Auburn. I think he was a great leader and just overall just a great linebacker and a great dude. Sadly, I think he's still in the NFL, I believe. I'm not going to say he's on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I almost got confused with Deshaun Davis as well, because they both they played the same way, both great leaders. Yeah, he is currently on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think he made a lot of great tackles last year too. I think he made a lot of key tackles that I can remember. And hopefully his little brother will follow in his footsteps. Also, some other recruiting news: Anquan Fegans and Jared Smith get some more predictions and crystal balls for to come to Auburn. Anquan Fegans, a 4-star safety. He is committing on July 29th. Auburn earning even more. I think they've been getting Anquan Fegans crystal balls for a good part of 2 months now. Jared Smith, pretty new to the crystal ball scene for Auburn, but a huge target that he's been ever since this recruiting cycle started. 5-star edge rusher would be a huge pickup, and I mean, they're both committing. So July 29th for Anquan Fegans, August 3rd for Jared Smith. Both days pretty close to Big Cat Weekend. So got to make a big enough impact. Big Cat Weekend currently on the 18th, meaning it is 9 days away before Auburn brings in a slew of high priority targets for both the 2025 and 2026 class. I still expect a lot of commitments. I expect Auburn to be at least in the top 10 after Big Cat Weekend. I think there's going to be a lot of commitments, but I could see Auburn getting as high as 7-6 range. if they get the guys I think Auburn can pick up in this class. And then last little bit of news before we get into the positional preview series, Cam Stutz has been drafted in the 2024 UFL draft to the Houston Roughnecks. Cam Stutz, of course, a longtime Auburn offensive lineman, and he gets to continue his professional career in the UFL. And now, as we move on to the Meat Potato Stabs episode, Auburn is going into a year where a lot of focus is on how will the wide receivers perform. Of course, I've said this a few times. There have been quote graphics that I've made about this posted around. This is, I would say without a doubt right now, the most talented wide receiver room Auburn has seen in the better part of, I want to say 10 years. I think that you're seeing a complete group. You have Keandre Lambert-Smith, Robert Lewis, all coming in from the transfer portal, who you expect to see right away. You also have guys like Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Malcolm Simmons, Bryce Kane, all a bunch of talented incoming freshmen who, I mean, there's very few wide receivers on the team that scholarship players on this team that I don't expect to, words are hard, that I don't expect to get a lot of playing time this year. And guys like Camden Brown or guys like Caleb Burton, guys like that I'm high on, and I could see them getting in a lot. And this is going to be a very balanced wide receiver room, which something Auburn's really seen in a hot minute. Last year, it was a lot of Rado Fairweather, and Javarius Johnson was behind him in yardage. After that, it was kind of a drop off, and it's kind of been that way for a while. Auburn hasn't seen a 1,000-yard receiver since the 90s. They've gotten close a couple of times. I know Darvin Adams was 2 yards away from getting it in 2010. But, and it does beg the question if Auburn can get one this year. But I think with the development of the quarterback situation, I don't know, with the amount of talent at the wide receiver room and what kind of scheme that we're kind of expecting to see, I don't think Auburn will throw the ball enough to the same receiver to get a 1,000-yard receiver. I don't think that's like a hot take or anything. I think sometime in the next 4 years, Auburn will get back into the 1,000-yard receiver game. But we're just right now, this year, I don't see it. I see a 1,000-yard rusher, not a 1,000-yard receiver. And it kind of also just goes based off of what we can expect to see from Peyton Thorne. And of course, the scheme built around it. I think we're going to still see a lot of RPOs. I don't think we're going to see a lot more of Peyton Thorne running the ball, but I still kind of expect it a little bit, but not as much as last year. With this wide receiver room, out of the guys I expect to be playing, of course, the starters are going to be Keandre Lambert-Smith, Robert Lewis, and Cam Coleman. Behind them, of course, is going to be Perry Thompson and the rest of the Freeze Four, Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Kane. You're going to get a lot of Camden Brown, Caleb Burton, and even see some Sam Jackson the fifth. Would not surprise me at all to see him get involved throughout the season. I kind of see him kind of playing a dual, like an athlete role that you see on like college football games, where you have guys play multiple positions. I could see Auburn throw some trick plays with him. He was very athletic. Everyone knows Sam Jackson fit this because you saw him play at Cal, and he gave Auburn a lot of tough break. Didn't give Auburn a lot. Gave Auburn a lot of tough, like plays. Words are hard right now. Give me a break. It's 1:30 in the morning. But just kind of going in the wide receiver room. I mean, again, this room is extremely talented. And I don't think that I don't think Auburn fans will be disappointed at the end of the season with the wide receiver room, in the sense that I think that they will do their job, and I think it'll be balanced enough to where no one will be disappointed in how the passing game was. And I don't want to bug too hard. I don't want to sunshine pump too much. But when you have a room that's talented, and a lot of your talented guys are young, I mean, the Freeze Four are all incoming freshmen. You only have 1, 2, 3 seniors in this wide receiver room. 4, correction, sorry. Keandre Lambert-Smith, Robert Lewis, and Sam Jackson, fifth-year scholarship guys, all transfer portal guys, and of course Greg Concono, walk on as well. So you got 4 seniors, and the rest of them are juniors and down. So you're going to return a lot of these guys next year. You're looking to pick up a lot of wide receiver talent in this recruiting class. I think that we're starting to see an emergence of wide receiver talent at Auburn. That I mean, Auburn is known for their talent acquisition and recruiting, but not to this sense. Not to the sense that we're seeing with Hugh Freeze right now. And I mean, if these guys develop into, if you're gonna, there's gonna be a play, I can see it in the future where it's like a 4 verts level play, and it's the entire freeze 4 lined up, just got the trips right. Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson on the outside. Then you have Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Kane on the inside, running kind of the more inside vertical routes, and that would be awesome. That will really show you the system working for recruiting. And of course, what that's going to do is that's going to help Auburn pick up even more freeze 4s, freeze 5s, freeze. I don't think it gets much higher than 5, picking up high end wide receivers like that. But you're seeing it in motion. You're seeing it happen in real time. And again, we talk about this all the time. The fact that I don't think Auburn fans are used to this much success in recruiting. And whenever Auburn doesn't get a recruit, you kind of say, "Oh, well, that sucks." And that's a good thing because you're expecting it now, and when you don't get it, it's disappointing. And you don't want to have too much disappointment about that. You don't want too many players to go somewhere else, but you want to be in the mix at all times. And no matter where they commit, I mean, I know I don't want to go too crazy about. I mean, like Caleb Cunningham, he's committed to Alabama. Auburn is never going to stop trying to flip him until he signs that paper on National Signing Day. Auburn will be continuously trying to flip him to Auburn, and you expect that from every single player on their target list, on their shopping list for recruits. You're gonna see that day in, day out. The staff is huge. We've seen the acquisition of several different jobs I didn't even know existed in football facilities. That way, they are constantly recruiting players like Cam Coleman, like Perry Thompson, like Bryce Kane, like Malcolm Simmons. You're seeing the process start, and I know it's kind of turned into wide receivers are just. I am so excited to see how this wide receiver room plays together in 2024, and of course going into again my starting lineup for the wide receivers: Keandre Lambert-Smith, Robert Lewis, and Cam Coleman. But you're going to see some Perry Thompson. You're going to see Camden Brown, who, again, a player I'm very high on and expecting a breakout from him very soon. And guys like Caleb Burton, we saw from last year, had his highs, had some plays where you're like, all right, I thought you were a lot faster than that. But overall, very talented dude. And a lot of these guys, same thing with all of them. I think wide receivers are going to be very good. And kind of moving on to the position after them is the tight ends, where – I mean, you're looking at a very solid group of tight ends as well. From like the players that you're really expecting to play in the tight end room, going like Rivaldo Fairweather, Micah Riley, Luke Deal, Brennan Frazier, those are Enrico Walker are all those guys that you're expecting to kind of see more of the season, because you're going to get probably alongside the passing game, you're going to get a lot of runs. You're going to see Jarquez. Last year you saw a lot of 2 or 3 tight end fronts. And like with Valdo, he had a breakout year last year. He led Auburn in passing and receiving touchdowns. Not passing touchdowns. That'd be awesome that'd be funny if he did. Another huge record for a tight end to be leading a team in passing touchdowns. But receiving touchdowns, he led Auburn in that, and was their leading receiver and their go-to target. Wherever they were on the field, you always had to expect Valdo to be on the receiving end of a pass. And it's kind of why I'm combining them with pass catchers, because we're going to see more of the emergence of pass catching tight ends under Hugh Freeze. We've seen it with Evan Ingram when he was at Ole Miss. And of course, he recruited a lot of guys like Dawson Knox, who played more for the guys after him. And but you're going to see that. And guys that I'm still very high on. I mean, Rico Walker was a huge pickup from Maryland. You're getting a guy who has basically the same build as Rivaldo Fairweather and same kind of playing style. And another guy like Micah Riley, a guy who, again, I don't think I've been extremely high on Micah Riley ever since he committed and signed with Auburn. I remember whenever I was in a studio whenever it came out that that he committed to Auburn and or I can't remember if it was committed or signed, but committed to Auburn over Iowa because it was such a huge deal that Auburn got a tight end over, the team, the school that doesn't produce good offenses but produces great tight ends. And I mean, if you could have seen me at the Sanford game whenever him and Robbie Ashford connected several times, I lost my mind. And then also you guys like Brandon Frazier and Luke Deal, Luke Deal returning for his 18th year of eligibility. You're going to see those two kind of come out a little bit and kind of see what they can do in the passing game. But you're going to see mostly those two as blockers. And it's just like a nice little mix up of tight ends. This entire group of pass catchers has the potential to really break out Auburn's pass game. And 44 days away to football season. I am so stoked and excited to see how this group plays together. And I know like A-Day happened and you didn't see any of the tight ends really. You just get to see a lot of them and just kind of focused on this show off Cam Coleman a little bit. I'm excited to see this team actually mesh play against other teams. I mean, Alabama A&M, I'm going to be at that game. Let me know in the comment section below if you're going to be at the season opener. I'm going to be at that game. I am so excited to see how this team actually plays together. We talk about practice all the time, and it's Allen Iverson quote and everything, but it's next level to see what this team will look like, and it's really telling of what to expect from this team in the first 3 weeks of the season, and kind of see what they want to do. 4 weeks, I'll kind of throw some shade at Arkansas, but talent acquisition has been off the charts, and you can't see it more than these two positions right there. So overall, the position group, Auburn's going into a year where wide receiver isn't on their highest, on the top of the list of positions that you're the most worried about. And I think that kind of comes down to picking up some talented veteran players and picking up some very talented freshmen. So huge shout out to the entire recruiting staff and what they have done with Auburn's wide receiver room. This group has potential to be the most talented wide receiver room for Auburn ever. And again, if you don't get 1,000-yard receiver, I can still stand by that if it's balanced enough. But if Auburn does get one and get a guy who's a little close to that, I mean, I was right, I guess would be the word I would use for that. But yeah, let me know what you think of the Auburn wide receiver position and the tight end room as well. Leave your predictions for who you think is going to lead Auburn receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. You can do it for both wide receiver and tight end. You could do it together. You could do it separate. Whichever one you want to do. Let me know who you think is going to lead Auburn in receiving yards in 2024. As we move on to the last little bit of the show, before we do, I'm going to play a little ad. We'll have a little ad read, and then I'll get out of here talking a little bit about baseball. So we'll be right back.
Are you tired of having to rummage through just clothes after clothes after clothes looking for something to wear? Are you tired of your friends making fun of you for your terrible fashion sense? Well, do we have the shirt for you? Go to thewarreport.com, get your laptop out and do it right now. Go to the shop and get your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt as well as your college loop hat, and you can get both of them for only $25 each. Plus shipping and handling, of course. But with that, now back to your regular scheduled program.
Yes, of course. That's going to be on thewarreport.com. Go to the shop. First page is the hat. I'm not wearing the hat today. I did a little throwback. Everybody loves this hat. I was the person that started the trend with this hat. Don't let everybody fool you. It was me. And I could be wrong, but I'm not. I started the trend. Why not? I'm also wearing the SEC tournament shirt. But of course, the shirt $25 and the hat $25. Halloween's coming up. If you want to dress up as a college fan, it's only $50 to look the part. As well as, if you drop some money and give out college loop hats for trick or treaters, that would also just be awesome. But the best way you can support the show outside of buying the merch, but the very best way, number one way, is liking, commenting, and subscribing to the show. Again, letting us know what you love about the show, predictions, your hot takes. We love hot takes over here at the College Loop Podcast because you know what? We love reading them and we love giving hot takes. So Let us know in the comment section below. And of course, don't forget to follow us all on socials on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works, all those at the College Loop. Show them some love. We do the daily countdowns over there on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're, again, currently 44 days. The post today is Reed Hughes. Sadly, he doesn't have enough pictures of himself wearing the number 44 that he has now switched to. So I did some extra editing, and I just made it look as goofy as possible. I almost added some pictures of wings because he won the wing inning contest, but I decided not to do that. So I made it more like a commitment picture. Speaking of commitment pictures, I committed to Kennesaw State, which, again, you'll be seeing that on the Warport Gaming. So go check out the Warport Gaming, that's TWR Gaming, to see my rebuild of the Kennesaw State Owls in the game that, believe me, I'm gonna be doing some practice before I start off any kind of dynasties yet, because I'm still trying to master that game. And again, I've already played 15 minutes of it. I'm so excited to just spend hours into that game. But as we move on to the last part of the show, it won't take too long. Just some news. Auburn had some more pitchers get picked up in the MLB by the MLB. One getting drafted, Will Cannon, got drafted in the 12th round to the Cincinnati Reds at pick 359. And then Auburn got two guys signed, and Christian Herberholz, another pitcher, signed by the Baltimore Orioles, joining one of his former teammates as well there in Baltimore. And, of course, shortstop Cooper Weiss getting picked up by the San Diego Padres. So best of luck to them in their future endeavors. Hopefully they can make it up to the league. And then last bit of news for Auburn Baseball, Auburn scheduled a fall ball game for October 12th versus FSU in beautiful Pensacola, Florida. I spent a little time there, had a little live stream there as well because I was on vacation. Beautiful part of Florida. And the Blue Wahoo Stadium, I drove by it, was beautiful. Didn't have time to go check out a Blue Wahoo's game, but it's just in a beautiful part of Pensacola. So if you have the opportunity to go check out this game October 12th, tickets I think are going to be on sale later in summer, sometime this summer. But overall, it would be a lot of fun, especially playing against FSU. Bring back a lot of traumatic memories for both sides of the fan base when it comes to those two teams playing. But of course, that's going to do it for this installment of the College Loop Podcast. I'm, of course, Dylan Larck. That's at your boy Tank on Twitter, and of course at Dylan Larck on Instagram as well. Make sure to follow me there. I also have a TikTok. It's just your boy the Tank. If you want to follow me on that, I typically don't really post all that much, but when I do, it doesn't do well, but I do have that as well. Of course, you follow me right in the College Loop Podcast. Would you like, comment, subscribe? Leave your thoughts on Auburn's receiving room. What would you grade it? Who was going to lead Auburn receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, all that jazz, receptions as well. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on socials, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the works. Again, all those at the College Loop. You will never have to worry about forgetting what day it is until Auburn football if you're following the College Loop on socials. Don't worry about that. But of course, if you're tired of seeing my face, completely understandable. You have audio versions of the show as well. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And if you're a podcast-only listener, I don't shout you out enough. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast wherever you are listening in. Deeply, deeply appreciate it. But of course, as we head out, I just want to thank everybody watching, everyone listening for tuning in to the College Loop Podcast. And with all that being said, War Eagle, and once again, thanks for watching.